How's that? Can you still hear me? Not loud enough. Not loud enough. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. La 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 la. Okay. All right. So it would look visually, if you looked at your chart, it looks like we've covered the small piece and the big piece is yet to come. But it's actually the other way around. This is by far the bigger chunk to learn. This is much simpler. It just looks intimidating. Okay. So here in purple, your algorithm, notice how everything looks like a little code. Okay? Well, on page 39, this is the key to your code. So everywhere you see the EB, EB stands for eyebrow. So the eyebrow point is with both hands, all your fingertips, between the eyebrows. Right here where you did polar center, okay? That's the eyebrow point. And then you have T for temple, which is right here beside the eyes. You have E for eye, which is the bone underneath the eyes. You have upper and lower lip, which looks just like you think. And then the A for arm is underneath either arm, right in the middle of the torso, right about where a bra hits on a woman. That's the arm point, and then you already know collarbone, right here. Your last one is TW plus B. TW is triple warmer. You're going to be accustomed to tapping it this way, right between the ring finger and pinky bone on the back of the hand. Looks like that. Everybody see that? Okay. The actual acupuncture point is on the right hand. And so your client needs to mirror you, so that's why you're going to be tapping your left. Okay? So notice here on the chart, go to your next page real quick. We're going to go back and forth for a second. Notice here how all of the algorithms are just different combinations of those points. So phobia algorithm would be eye, arm, collarbone, TW, whereas grief would be eyebrow, eye, collarbone. So they're just different combinations of those same points. Now every algorithm ends at the end with this TW plus B. So the TW plus B is triple warmer for TW plus bilaterals, which is the eye movement that goes back and forth. So each point before TWB, so like in phobia we have EACB, right? EACB. So I would tap each of those points about 5 taps each. So it's a quick little succession. So if I was doing phobia, I would do tap, 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 about 5 each. Okay? So one side. You can do this if you want, but you don't need to. There's people do, but you don't need to. So one side will work. So the algorithm, phobia algorithm would look like eye, arm, collarbone, triple arm. Okay? Notice grief. Grief would look like eyebrow, eye, collarbone, triple arm. So they're all just different combinations of those points. And you don't ever need to memorize them because they're right in front of you all the time. So here on your chart, they're always looking right at you. So when you're with the client, you can just have this right in front of you, or on your wall chart ideally, where you can be looking right past their head at the chart. And they'll just follow you through, like Simon says. So you can watch it as you tap your points, and they'll follow you through. Now, the triple warmer plus B, bilaterals. Go to page 41 for a moment. Anytime you're doing your triple warmer, so anytime the client's here at the back of the hand, you're going to incorporate the eye movements into the triple warmer point. Now, there are some contraindications to the eye movements. If your client has vertigo, epilepsy, seizure disorder, migraines, visual auras, any of that sort of thing, and it's listed there in contraindications, it's listed later in another place as well. If your client suffers from any of those things, the eye movement is a bad idea. The eye movement can cause a seizure, for instance. It can trigger a migraine. So if you have someone, and any of you in the room, who have any of those vulnerabilities, you would forego the eye movement, and you would instead use just the tapping of the feet right and left on the floor.
What were those?
They're written there. They're not written on this page? 41? Mm-hmm. See in dark print there? Okay. So any of those things, you would use the tapping of the feet. I'll show you that again in just a second. So the eye movement looks like this for most people. You would have 2 fingers together this way in a nice flat plane, so you don't want to point at your client. This will be more comfortable for you, but really uncomfortable for them. So you want to be pretty uncomfortable here. And you want to keep a flat plane across the front of the client's torso, almost like if I had a picture frame around Alan. Okay? So he would get his eyes on the fingers, and we would go back and forth one side to the other. And we can move horizontally, we can move vertically, we can move right diagonals, or we can move left diagonals. So right diagonals would be when my right hand is up. Left diagonals would be when my left hand is up. So left diagonal. Okay. And how I know which direction I'm using, I would just muscle test for that. So on your chart here, let's say you've done opening prayer, you've cleared for any resistance, and then your question is, are we doing a set or an algorithm? If algorithm tests well, you would say, well, which one are we going to do? Are we going to do trauma, or grief, or phobia, so forth? Notice your next box here. How many rounds of it? So are we going to do it once, or twice, or 3 times? And what are the directions of eyes for each time? So I may do phobia algorithm twice. First time with vertical eyes, second time with horizontal eyes. Okay? Now the eye movements are done in sets of 20 pulses. So phobia algorithm would look like he would tap, he would tap here, and then here, and then here. And then once he gets to triple warmer, he would stay there and hang out on that point and follow my fingers with his eyes. Our first time we will go 20 pulses horizontal. So it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 20. And once we get to 20, we go right back in for round 2. Some points. Once we get done here, our second round's vertical, so he's going to hang out here. And we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 20. And when we get to 20, we'd be done. And that's doing phobia algorithm 2 times. Tracking me so far?
Yes.
Okay. Now, notice how here we have 3-liners. Notice how we have anxiety addiction is a 3-line algorithm. OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, for those of you who are not mental health professionals. OCD is a 3-liner, has line, line, line. So if I were to do anxiety addiction algorithm 1 time, that's all 3 lines. All 3 lines is doing it once. And the direction for the eyes at the end of every line is the same direction for all 3. So if I was going to do it once with horizontal eyes, it would look like point, 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 20 horizontals, point, 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 20 horizontals, point, 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 20 horizontals. If I was going to do it a second time, maybe the second time needs vertical eyes. So that would be point, 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 20 verticals, point, 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 20 verticals, point, 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 20 verticals. And now I've done it twice. Tracking? Okay? All right. Last one here. Notice the very top one, depression pain. It doesn't have any points. It just has the triple warmer. Right? So that means if Mindy tested for depression pain algorithm, it would mean we're going to go right to triple warmer and the eye movements. So if I wanted to do it 1 time, I would just know which direction, and we would do those 20 pulses and be done. But if she tested for depression pain 2 times, and the first time is right diagonals, and the second time is left diagonals, you notice how there aren't any other points. There's just this. She would just stay here the whole time. But what I don't want to do to her is, I don't want to do 20 of these, and then straight go whomp, like that, and have her throw up on me. Right? So in the depression pain algorithm, you want to add, between rounds, a little demarcation so that you don't make your client throw up. Okay? Now the other ones don't need this because they have natural demarcation. Because when we're done with the eye movements, we go into points, so there's a natural demarcation. But for depression pain only, you need to add a little demarcation to be kind to the client. Okay? Now let's say you were going to do depression pain twice, but both rounds are horizontals. Well, then I wouldn't need to stop and tap it in. I could just go 40 pulses in the same direction. That'd be fine. Okay? We good so far? All right, now what to focus on? The algorithm is always in service of the set. The algorithm has only 2 purposes. It's either to open up a set, like start a new topic at the grease the wheels, get things moving and opening up for a set, or it's to put icing on the set you just did. So the algorithm is always in reference to the set, it's always in service of the set. So every time you get the test that says we're doing an algorithm, your question is, so are we focusing on the algorithm on the content of the set we just did, or are we starting a brand new set of content? Because if we're doing a brand new one, then next will be the set about that content. So the algorithm is always opening a new set or closing the one you just did. So that's how you know what you're focusing on. So let's say you sit down with a client who says, I'm here for profound grief. Lost my wife 4 years ago, still cry every day. Okay, you bring that request before the Lord. You come out of opening prayer, you check for resistance. Once that's clear, you say, are we doing a set or an algorithm? Now, if algorithm tests, and maybe you get anxiety addiction, and you think, well, that's a little strange, that's not quite what you came for. So, since it doesn't fit the set content he came for, you would just have him tune into anxiety and addiction in a real global bird's eye way. Like he'd think about his life on a whole and any way that anxiety and addiction has been a deal for him. And likely, once he's done with that algorithm, God's going to go do a set related to anxiety or addiction, because he's prioritizing it over the grief issue. Let's say, on the other hand, the same circumstance, you come out of opening prayer, you say, are we doing algorithm or set? And you get algorithm, and it says we're going to do grief. We're going to do grief algorithm 4 times. Well, you pretty much know what you're focusing on, right? He came for grief. So in that case, you have a context. So if you have a context, tune into that. If you don't have a context, like you're starting a new topic, then you just think of it in a bird's eye global kind of way. Whatever the name, the name of the algorithm. So like if you had trauma algorithm and you didn't have a specific topic, the client would tune into any time in their life when there's been trauma from a real faraway view.
Is pain physical?
Pain is physical or emotional, yes. So depression, pain. Depression, pain can be depression, it can also be emotional pain, it can also be chronic pain, the trauma of chronic pain in the body. Any questions?
Yeah, so when it's the icing on the set,
Yes.
at what point do you usually does it, so you're going through your set, and how do you go to test for an algorithm?
Because when the set is over, when the set's done, if you have time left, okay, your question is there more that we were given to do? And if there's more that we were given, God might give you in a sitting 2 sets and 1 algorithm. He might give you only 1 set and you're done. He's never going to give you an hour's worth of algorithms and no sets, because the set is where we live. This is what it's all for. Okay? If you sat down with a person and they kept testing for algorithm after algorithm after algorithm, somebody's avoiding. Okay? This is just the client's way of saying, I don't ever want to go get to the real work and get it done. So if you were for me, if I even got an algorithm to test for a 3rd time, I'll let it go twice, but a 3rd time, I'm going to go, okay, no. So I'm going to have the person do a collarbone, like my subconscious admits what I need to get to the set. Do I need to resist an emotion or a collarbone statement, so forth. Yes?
And then in the opposite, if you test for, is it set or algorithm, and you get algorithm and go for the algorithm, how do you get over to
Because when the algorithm is done, your question is always, is there more we were given?
same thing?
So every time you're sitting with someone, you are coming off of the simple faith, the trust, that when you did opening prayer, the Lord God marked out your steps. And those steps may include a single set, they may include algorithm, set, and algorithm. He may have given you, if you have an open-ended period of time, for instance, he may have given you 90 minutes worth of work. He may have given you 3.5 hours worth of work. He may have given you 20 minutes worth of work. And so your question is always, is there more we were given? Because the posture is always in that following. We're following the lead of the Spirit, whatever kind of combination of work that looks like. Yes?
So you finish with prayer then, after finding and breaking the vow and lie, and then ask again.
Right. So when the vow and lie is all broken, and that prayer is done, you would come out of the prayer and say, so, is there more that we were given? And if you get yes, there's more, you'd say, so then another set or an algorithm. Those are always your 2 options. Okay, anybody else? Questions? Yeah?
That's when you ask.
That's when either one of these is done is when you ask it. So when your set is done, or when your algorithm is done, you're asking, is there more that we were given? For instance, let's say that the first thing you were given was an algorithm. Chances are extremely good that you're not done. Okay? Because this is what we're here for. This is a set. So chances of being given just an algorithm and that's all he gave you are not good. So if the test said that, no, all God gave us was an algorithm. That's all I need to do today. Right? You would be suspicious as a practitioner. You would know better, and you would say, I doubt that. So you might ask something like this. If there was more we were given, could we see it? And you'll get the muscle test that says, nope, you couldn't see it. Back off. Right? That question, if so, could I see it, is a really useful one. For instance, over here earlier, they had a gist, they had a feeling that the womb issue was really about blah, 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 but it kept testing for blah, blah, blah. So I said, well, ask this. Say, if it really was this, could we see it? And she asked that and got, nope, you couldn't see it. And so then that's a giveaway. Then I know we're in resistance, right? If, on the other hand, the muscle test said, yeah, you could see it, if it was really that, then I'm like, well, all right, I guess it's still testing well, like we're on the right track. Does that make sense? So that if it was could I see it is a really good little tricky one. Any topic you're on? Okay. Anything else? Yes.
How often is there a
How often is there a
final?
what?
A final period in all of the steps. So after you have the emotion, trauma,
Yeah.
is there an actual end term, or is it?
Oh. One of these is fine. They're the same, right? So some traumas are very one-dimensional and are a one-setting deal. You know, one set, and I'm really pretty much resolved on that. Other ones, a particular trauma might have 3 different sets that are all the same trauma. You know, because a particular trauma affected me this way, but also this way, and this vow, but also this way. So sometimes one trauma may have more than one layer to it, and that's okay. You might go back to the same age-stated trauma a couple times, 3 times, 4 times even. But yes, there is such a thing as cleared. There is such a thing as that trauma and its impact on me has been resolved. Yes. And I am no longer plagued by that. Whatever it was, yes. So, and we are expecting that. We are expecting completion and permanence. And when the symptom lifts, it doesn't come back. Because of the literal nature of what we're doing here. So if Vivian had gotten a new clarity about the abandonment trigger that goes off when she's in Cusco, right? If she had gotten a new clarity and had willed herself out of that reaction and gone home that night, and when it was time for telling herself the story, she said, no, I don't need to do that. I know better, right? If it was will-based, then the chances of it returning are very, very good. But in this circumstance, I dare you to get it back. She can't get it back. See, when the Lord takes you to the original root of something and pulls out its fuel at its root, she'd have to go back to the trauma, be that age, have it happen again. She can't. So tomorrow night and the next night and the night after that, she still won't be able to conjure up that story, even if she tries. And that's a lovely, lovely thing. And it's because it's not motivation-based change. That's why. It's because it's literal, physiological, energetic clearing. You know? Yeah. You get excited, yes. 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 So when the client says, and they usually do it most around anxiety, if the client says, boy, that anxiety trigger, I just feel like a weight off my shoulders, I haven't thought about it all week or all day, or whatever it was is gone, I'm free. And they'll commonly say, around anxiety especially, they'll say, but what if it comes back? And I'll say, dare ya, knock yourself out. Yeah, go nuts. Let's see that happen. Because, again, it's just that's how it works. You can't go back and have that again. Now, on the other hand, you certainly can re-agree for something for a new reason. That's certainly possible.
Does it create then that layering mechanism so that at least one trauma the core issue still isn't dealt with?
It depends on the person.
It feels it out.
Depends on the person. So a client of mine comes in this week who I worked on years back for some marital stuff. She came back saying, are you still in practice? Can I see you again? I have something has happened. So she comes in and says, she's a wilderness guide. She was struck by lightning 12 months ago, so severely that she gained all of this new creativity she never had before. She could paint, she can play instruments that she never could before. She has, and I know it's remarkable. But she's paranoid now. She wakes up every morning and goes straight to the window to check the sky. Okay, so she has all kinds of trouble that has come from it too. Okay, so in her situation, she had the original hit of the lightning, and then she has had 2 experiences in the last 12 months where she tried to resume her work, and was out and in a too close of a situation and triggered it and had an attack and the whole deal. Well, in her circumstance, when we brought this before the Lord and we said, where would you like to go with this? You know, we're asking, if possible, that she could retain all of the miraculous blessing that has come from this and resolve the trouble. I mean, if you're going to ask, right? We're going to go for the whole enchilada. So we're like, that's what we're asking. And with her, he did not take us first to the original lightning strike. He wanted to start with her, reverse engineering. He started with her at the most recent event where it was re-triggered, then the next one, and then would go to the original trauma. Whereas the next person with a similar trauma, he might start at the root and go forward.
Well, she had a physical trauma.
Yes.
That's a physical attack in her brain.
Yeah. I'm just saying, whether he goes forward, back, or back forward, it depends on the person and on what he knows about them and what I know. So layer-wise, right? Sometimes he's going to go start at the root and layer out. Sometimes he's going to start at the furthest layer and go into the root. So it depends on the person and the trauma and what's going on. And it's so great for us to not have to figure that out, right? I don't have to have her answers. I get to just bring her before the Lord and go, I don't know, let's see what he does. What do you want to do? You know? And I get to watch it unfold like she gets to watch it. I don't have to be the grand master of all wise answers for any of my clients, which is lovely, because I don't know what she needs, and I get to really lean not on my own understanding, on his. Very, very nice. Sometimes the client doesn't like where the session goes. Sometimes they come in saying, I want to work on A, and God says, I want to work on B, and the client is mad about that. And even in that case, I can say, take it up with him. I can't control where it goes, you know. I watch where it goes just like you do. You got a problem with it, take it up with the guy. Because I'm not in charge of it. People will say, well, can we go work on blah, blah, blah? Just like, you know, we aren't asking God his thing. We're going to work on the thing. No. Not that it can't be done, but that's a whole different thing. If you're doing that, you're doing your own version of some kind of mind-body work, but you're not doing Splankna. Splankna is about inviting the Lord to do the thing he'd like to do. And any other posture is some other thing. Okay. Algorithms, let's try them. So stay right where you are. Don't find a new partner. Stay where you are and go through just one round of trauma algorithm. And so what I want you to do is I want you to ask your partner with the muscle test which direction of eyes his body would like to try out. So we're not looking for deep trauma. We're not doing opening prayer. We're just doing a little thin layer practice round. So I want to just know, do you want to do verticals, right diagonals, left diagonals? He wants to do left diagonals. So we're going to do trauma algorithm one time through with left diagonals. And then he'll do the same for his part. Which eyes do you want? They'll do trauma algorithm one time through. Okay?
When you're,
and just tune into trauma real general for your life.
So when you're going through the process, you ask how you want, which direction you want to
right.
The eye movements.
Right. So I'm working with Mindy. And we've come out of our opening prayer, and I say, so we're ready to work. And they're going, yep, we're ready. Are we doing a set? No. Are we doing an algorithm? Yes. Which one? Trauma? Grief? Depression, pain? Phobia? Oh, phobia. Then I want to know how many rounds of it. Are we going to do phobia one time? 2 times? 2 times? What is the eye direction for each round? So for round number 1, do we want horizontals, verticals, right diagonals? Right diagonals. I write that down. For my next round, do I want right diagonals again? Left diagonals? Left diagonals. Right diagonals. And then we'll go do both rounds. Back at me? Huh? If the person can't do the eyes. If the person can't do the eyes, you're going to do the feet instead. So, you can't really see me, but the client will be here, triple warmer, okay? And they'll just tap their feet on the floor, just right, left. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, don't let the client count, okay? If the client counts, they're not into their emotional content at all, okay? So you don't even tell them 20 pulses. You just tell them, you just tap your feet and tap right here. And you count, but they don't. Okay? So my client has no idea I'm going 20 pulses.
But the client's doing the tap.
Yeah. But they just tap for a while. They don't even notice it's 20. Okay? Because if you tell them 20 pulses, they're going to count. Yeah. If you did 21 or 19, you're not going to hurt anything.
It doesn't matter which foot you start with.
No. It doesn't matter which foot you start with. So don't tell the client, tap 20 pulses with your feet, because then they'll count. And when you're doing the eyes, I never tell them we're going 20 pulses. I just go. because I want them in their emotional content not counting. Yes.
I was just gonna make the suggestion, I had a client who had knee surgery, so she couldn't tap herself, but she also couldn't do the hands due to a brain injury. So I tapped gently on her knees,
Yeah.
left, right,
And that's fine too. Mhm.
Just by the left and right diagonal, just the direction going up.
When I say right diagonal, I mean I'm doing this, where right is up. And if I say left diagonal, I mean this. And whichever one I meant is what his body's going to respond to meeting or not meeting, because it's the frequency of meeting between us. Yes?
I'm sorry.
There was a question? Oh, he was just fixing her hair. She was just buzzing her hair. Okay, I think we're ready. So turn in, do one round of trauma algorithm. See which direction lies for you. We're not sure.